Hi, this is Isadora with the Hot Sex Happy Life webinar series. And since this is the first month of 2015, I really started thinking about sex and success. We go into a new year and have all these new ideas of what we want to change in our life. And a big part of that is our sex. So sex isn't just about having sex, it is the rocket fuel that creates the growth in every other area of your life. And in Napoleon Hill had talked about in Secrets of Successful People how some of the most successful people in history have been or have had very high sex drives. So that's good news if you're a person who already has a high sex drive. And if you don't have such a high sex drive, or you find that you are worn out or tired by life, or being a parent, or whatever it is, and you need a jump start on your sex battery, I'm going to be talking about how to jumpstart your sex battery today and how to give direction to your sexual energy so that you can use it to be successful in your career, but also relationships to actually be able to get the things you want in your life. Because people don't talk about sex, a lot of times it ends up being the thing that's keeping them from success versus looking at your sexuality really in the light and then being able to harness it, turn up that sexual magnetism and battery, and then give it direction to bring the things you want in your life. And, as somebody who talks about sex all the time, it's difficult for people still to talk about sexuality. And that's because sex still has a lot of taboo or even shame around it. And that kind of shame is one of the things that is blocking our sexual energy. So today I have a special guest, Ashley Turner, and she's the creator of the popular Meditation 101, which was an amazing virtual conference on Entheos with over 25,000 participants. So she was really able to turn on a lot of people to meditation. And Ashley is also has yoga DVDs. But more interesting than that, Ashley was a yoga teacher at a class that I went to maybe 12 years ago before I was ever teaching yoga. And I remember taking a class at Santa Monica Yoga, a tiny little studio, and absolutely loving the teacher, and that was Ashley. So, Ashley, I want to welcome you to join us today. and and I yeah, no, I don't even think I've told you that before. But no. No, it was just a regular yoga class, and I went in, and it was, talking about sex and success. It was before I found yoga, I was like a broke single mom, and I barely had money to like go to yoga. That felt like such a privilege to have the time or the money to go to a yoga class. And I remember it was one of the classes I'd like managed to save up and go to class when my son was in school, and it was just a regular yoga class. But I remember that the teacher, and I remember at that point just being like, my God, these yoga teachers are like gods. Like how amazing to get to be here, and because they just see the emotional transformation that people would have in the room. And that's before I even knew that you ended up studying psychology and bringing that piece into the yoga and the meditation. Um, but actually, I wanted to really ask you today on this topic about body shame, because I'm on a mission to help people let go of shame. Really, sex should be fun. It should be healthy. It should help us to be successful in life and in our relationships. And and so I'm really trying to help people get over their shame. And I think that you have done such a great job of identifying one of the biggest pieces of shame that we have, and that's body shame. And I wanted to just ask you, I know it's more personal, but what was your relationship around body shame and being able to really enjoy sex, or to enjoy intimacy?
I think thank you so much, Psalm, for having me on this, and it's such an honor to be here with you. I love all the work that you're doing in the world and all of the very important work on this topic, because it's really, our relationship to ourselves and our relationship to our body is where empowerment in many ways starts. And by empowerment, I mean us pulling the locus of validation and acceptance internally. So we're not looking outside for other people to validate us and
Mm-hmm.
accept us, or tell us what we're worth. We really have that anchor and that center of gravity inside. And for me, it took a long time to internalize that process and let go of all of my attempts to seek validation and worth outside. I actually had a really intense experience in college. It was just sort of massive rejection, and that crushed my whole sense of self and my confidence. I mean, up until then, all the way through high school, 18 years old, I had a great life. I was really confident and sure about my abilities. And then I came from a small town in Illinois out to California and went to USC and just sort of really lost myself for those 4 years at USC. And I felt like, all of the shadow voices were really amplified. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not successful enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not rich enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got really trapped in that. And, luckily I had a really spiritual upbringing. It was a healthy spiritual upbringing, but at the same time, I just, my sense of self was severed. And so it took me many years, and really the yoga practice was what brought me back around to really feeling whole and really feeling good and confident in
Mm-hmm.
myself. I went through years during college and after college of being depressed and isolating myself. And I didn't even realize actually that I was depressed, but I definitely was. Isolating myself, not feeling good enough, and then it parlayed right into um, not feeling good about my body. I started acting. I was in, Los Angeles acting, which is just more rejection on top of more
Well,
rejection.
I always tell
And
people
it just,
only in Los Angeles. I think we invented the term skinny fat. So even if you're skinny, you can still be fat in LA. Right?
right. And it wasn't until I found the yoga practice and really Brian Kest's practice
Mm.
at Santa Monica Power Yoga that over the months and over the years of going to his class and hearing the words over and over again about celebrate your body for what it can do, how to
Hmm.
focus on how you feel and not how you look. So really, I mean, that's one of the keys for me in um, rooting out body shame and really winning this war it's just an epidemic. I mean, as you mentioned, I'm also a psychotherapy intern, and I have had a psychotherapy practice for 5 years, and I can tell you, listening to my clients, it is, I would say, a universal challenge with all women and many men,
Hmm.
that we don't feel good enough in our bodies.
Well,
We just
you
don't.
said Brian was one of the first places you went. Brian Kest Power Yoga Santa Monica, and after, I mean, you know a little bit about my story, but I hit a rock bottom. Had been on medication for anxiety and depression, and ended up in an emergency room. And I knew if I kept living the way I'd been living, which was really self-destructive, to try and escape pain, that I was going to end up dead. And some voice in my head said, "Go do yoga." And like I said before, I was like, well, I'm not a mom in the suburbs, stay at home mom who goes and does yoga during the like I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time. And this voice in my head said, go do yoga. And the class I went to was Brian's. And so I remember being in that class, and he wasn't even talking about anything spiritual. And I went in that class, and my body, that at that point had brought, like, I felt that my body was a prison to my soul at that point. My depression, anxiety, I'd had sexual abuse. So it was like my body had. I used to feel like, oh, I just wish I wasn't here anymore. Like literally on the planet. Like I wish my spirit could be free of what I have to deal with in this world on a day to day. And so the body felt like I said, a prison or this cumbersome thing that brought my spirit, problems, or my mind problems. And my relationship with sex to that point had been, I was very hypersexual. Some women from sexual abuse become hyposexual. I was very hypersexual because it was like a drug. It was one of the only things that I could do and escape pain. And so it was just not a healthy relationship. And even then, sometimes I would act out on that and escape my pain through sexual, pleasure, and then go into a shame spiral anyway. And going into that first yoga class, and I remember nothing spiritual, just inhale, raise your arms, exhale, bringing my arms down, and I just a few like inhale and exhale, and I was filled with this like beautiful, loving, light energy. And I remember without trying to, I started saying this like automatic prayer. And I said, like, thank you, God, for my body, which is beautifully and wonderfully made. And I was like, who said that? I was like, who said that? Because I don't like my body and I don't like being here on the planet. And I realized, oh, it's just that I've been so worn down by my hardships or difficulties or depressed. Like a lot of people are depressed, like you said, and they don't even know they're depressed. And it's not till you have these moments of that connection, that yoga, meditation, a lot of these practices provide people. And then there's that integration.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a really good point of a lot of people don't know they're depressed. I would say that was me for a while. Depression is repression.
Mm-hmm.
Depression is when we're holding down some energies or feelings that we don't want to feel. And
Mm-hmm.
this is why I think meditation is such an important tool, because it just gives us the skill set to increase our capacity to tolerate, to be able to feel
Right.
more. And this is why yoga is such a powerful tool, because in the practice we just learn how to work with sensation. And so I think a lot of people, that one of the reasons, as you said, that people have a disconnect from their bodies and maybe projecting I don't like my body, is because liking your body and loving your body means you're in your body, you're
Mm-hmm.
embodied, and you have to feel what it feels like to be a human being, to have feelings, to have emotions, to have discomfort, sensations. It's confronting. It's very confronting.
Well, and that saying, that class I went to of yours before I was a yoga teacher, I remember being in the class, and at that point I was going to talk therapy and I was on medication for my depression and anxiety. And I was in that yoga class, and I remember having, I was like, had such a profound experience. I was like, it felt so much more useful than all the talk therapy I'd done. Not there's anything wrong with it, but I just felt like I'd spent so long in talk therapy. What's wrong with me? And I was like, noodling around in my brain. Let me figure out what went wrong with me and what went wrong with me. And there was never any positive energy to replace that endless search of what was wrong and like what was negative. And being in the yoga class, by feeling all this positive energy, the breathing builds the serotonin, the dopamine. And I remember it was your class. And I remember thinking, I was like, at the end of class, though, I thought, oh my God, if I kept coming to yoga, I would probably just fall apart. And I don't think they can handle me here. Like clearly this isn't built for someone to have a complete break. You're supposed to do the yoga, maybe silently cry on your mat, and then, like, namaste. But I remember that class you were teaching, it did so powerfully affect my psyche through the movements of my body and being in my body. And a lot of the shame that I had was locked in the cells of my body, and it wasn't something I could just talk about and change. It was literally, I had to feel those places that were uncomfortable. And that, like I said, for me, instead of avoiding sex, I'd kind of go beyond that, because like orgasm is such a big reaction, that I would go beyond my discomfort in my body to sex and orgasm, where I could escape that. But the yoga and the meditation slowed it down, and I still had a lot of the pleasurable feelings that are very sensual. Like yoga is very sensual. That's a big
Very
secret.
sensual.
Nobody ever admits that much. So like my son one time, he's like those yoga classes. He's like, it's so sexual, but everybody's like, no, it's not.
Yeah. So it's so healing, right? It
Yeah.
just puts you in it's your own inner exploration. And I think, we're talking about body image and why that can hold us back
Mhm.
in our sexuality and also in our lives. I mean, I remember thinking, oh, I can't do this until I lose 10 pounds. I
Right.
can't go even start to pursue this professional goal until I lose 10 pounds.
Mhm.
Or a lot of people, and myself included, had the notion of like, I can't be in a relationship, or I can't get married until I lose those 10 pounds. Nobody's
Right.
going to think I'm attractive until I lose those 10 pounds, which is totally an illusion.
Mhm.
And it's totally, a fear based false ego notion, and it's a trap. And so, there's some really practical skills, which, number one, get in your body, and
Mhm.
it's one of my favorite tools for, overcoming negative body image is listen to your body. Hear your body doesn't lie. And so I would say do practices that are going to get you embodied. Dance, yoga, martial arts. I mean, even just exercise. I mean, I was so in my head this morning and kind of frantic, and then I went for a run on the beach, and it's like, boom, it's just a shapeshifter. And now my energy is moving again, and I'm dropped down in my body. So get into your body every single day. Do something that's going to it's nurturing and it's
Mm-hmm.
self-care. Taking care of your body is not optional. It's really not. It's necessary. It's your duty because you're a human being and you have this body temple. Eating good foods and taking care of your body through exercise and taking baths and this kind of thing is crucial. It's crucial. So love your body and your body will love you back.
Mm-hmm. And now, Ashley, I know that you had, I mean, speaking about loving your body and your body loving you back, you have your 5 tips to end the body shame war forever. And one of them that I thought was especially interesting is the mirror um, meditation, because I actually tell people sometimes I take it a step further in the sexuality. I say, like, actually, like, people who carry shame about self pleasuring, I'm like, stand in front of the mirror and self pleasure. And what do you feel or see? And I had one woman I was working with, and she's like, I can't even feel my body. Like, she's like, I feel so ashamed to look at my body naked in the mirror or to touch my body, that she was literally just like numb and all those uncomfortable things coming up. But how do you do the naked mirror?
So the first step is, like I said, listen to your body. Take care of your body. Be in your body. Your body doesn't lie. And so that's gonna, think of your relationship with your body is just like any other relationship. The more attention you pay to it, the more love and tenderness you give to it, the more it's going to give you back. The more it's going to trust you, the more it's going to give you that back. So really, you're I don't need, we don't need to get into an uber depth psychological perspective, but our body is very symbolic and it's symbolizing it's sort of this outer expression of our internalized thoughts. And so we can literally shapeshift our bodies. You can lose weight just by shifting your thoughts. And so the mirror work is the second tip, which is so important, which is just simply sit in front of a mirror. I recommend doing it in the morning before you've had a shower, before you put on your makeup and all of that. Sit in front of the mirror, your most natural naked self. If you want to be naked, that's great. It's really powerful to do this naked and just simply be and then look yourself in the eye, look at your body lovingly, practice. It's skill building. You're really strengthening a muscle of self love. It's just like if you are a mother, right? Or you see a tiny little baby, an infant. I just went to see my girlfriend who just had a baby 6 weeks ago, and this little infant is so perfect, right? She's totally different from every other baby that's ever been born. I mean, you're not looking at this infant saying, well, too bad she's not a little longer, or too bad she, her arms are looking a little thick. No, those thoughts don't even come into your mind. Like, it's a brand new baby. So practice focusing on your inner child and really loving yourself as with the love of a mother, with
Hmm.
unconditional love, loving your body exactly as it is right now, whether you've gone through cancer or surgeries, or you may be overweight and feel like there's things that you really do want to change about your body. That's okay. Can you still be with what is right here, right now, and practice loving it? It's the same kind of love that we would hope and that we all crave in relationships, is that someone that's going to love us and be tender and caring towards us and forgiving towards us, even when we make mistakes. It's just part of being human. We're all fallible. So really practice. So literally, and this also comes from Louise Hay, it's literally sitting in front of a mirror, looking yourself in the eye and saying, I love you, and
Hmm.
really feel it and really practice building that muscle. And over time, it may feel awkward, it may feel forced, it may feel artificial at first, but over time, practice looking at yourself as that perfect inner child or as a soul, as a spirit. And if you say you are overweight and you do, self soothe through eating food or not working
Mm-hmm.
out, and there's some habits that really may need to shift and change, that's okay. Can you also look at yourself through the eyes of a forgiving bodhisattva, with
Mm-hmm.
great, great compassion, the compassion of a Buddha, and just, I love myself. It's okay. I in the one of the schools of psychotherapy that I practice is called integrated body psychotherapy, and there's many different messages, like 20 different good parent messages that they came up
Hmm.
with. Um, which are, you can go to ibponline.com and look at their incredible philosophy, which actually is a psychological school that came out of Tantra
Hmm.
yoga. And they came up with these core messages that hopefully all of us got as we left childhood. Now, you may not have got them verbatim in those words, but hopefully on a deep inner level, you felt, yeah, I feel that way. I got this. Now, none of us got them perfectly because our parents aren't perfect. Our parents are
Right.
human. So,
Right. Well, you said something, we want to be able to mother ourselves, or the good parenting. And, um, I think a lot of us, actually, um, some of the first shame we had about our bodies came from our mothers. And not because they were trying to, but simply they're overworked, they're overtired, or that's how they were spoken to. So they're repeating what was said to them. But I know, like, there were little things that my mom said, probably thinking she was helping me out. And the way that I took them and remembered them made me, like, have a lot of body shame, about, like, when I hit puberty and my breasts, and, like, don't eat that and be careful. And, like, now I can look back on it and it's like, yes, eating healthier is better than the junk food teenagers eat. But just the way I took that was this very, like, deep disapproval from the mother. And so then to have to rewire that with good parenting, like, we have to at some point become our own good parents.
and that's the whole idea with these good parent messages. So that it's part of our individuation process, our maturing, our spiritual maturing, is that we learn to parent ourselves.
Hmm.
And we're not perfect, but we do the best we can. So these messages, for example, the first few, and they do go in order of importance. The first one, of course, is I love you.
Hmm.
And so, really, like, there's times when I'm driving around and, if I've gone through a breakup or something and I'm just feeling rejected and I'm feeling insecure and vulnerable, and I just pause and put my hand on my heart, I love you. The second one is I want you.
Hmm.
So, really finding that desire and that wanting internally, like, I
Hmm.
want you, I want to be your partner, I'm here for you.
Right.
I love you, I want you, you are special to me. And so that's a big one for me. Like, if I've gone through a breakup, you're special to me, because when we're in a romantic relationship, what we're seeking is feeling that special, feeling special. Someone thinks I'm special, they're choosing
Right.
me. So the point is to start that process internally. You are special to me. I
Hmm.
love you, I want you, you're special to me. Just take those three and do them in front of the mirror every day, 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, and feel how that will start to shift your
Hmm.
internal dialogue.
Yeah, I know. I went through a breakup where I felt like that. It was like, I wanted him to choose me, and I had a lot of abandonment, and it really, like, kicked me back to feeling like at 5, 6 years old, and that deep daddy, you know, like, abandonment, and like, and I remember at some point, though, it's like, oh, I wanted him to choose me, and then I realized, but I have to choose me. And not in some, like, I could have said that 100 times before and it wouldn't have meant anything, but there was this day that came, and I was like, oh, like, I'm gonna choose me and my happiness, and put myself in a better situation than, being in this role of, like, kind of silently begging someone to choose me.
Right.
And I think that when you were saying, that's coming back into a core of who I am, being.
Right. And it's right back to the very beginning of our conversation of pulling that center of gravity inside, where I'm seeking the validation and the acceptance internally. And so, you know what? It's okay if I'm up 5 pounds or down 5 pounds, or it's okay if I'm getting gray hair, or it's okay if, my breasts are sagging because I've been breastfeeding 2 children. I love you. I want you. You're special to me. So the mirror work, listening to your body doesn't lie, getting out there, exercising, taking care of this beautiful body temple. Doesn't have to be perfect. When we're doing core work, it's not about getting washboard abs, but it
Hmm.
is about feeling strong and integrated and knowing that you're doing everything you can within reason, to take care of your body.
Right, because it isn't one or the other. I think that people go from, oh, everybody made me feel ashamed of my body, and so then there's kind of a giving up. It isn't working out and eating healthy. Suddenly, it's like your boyfriend is the chocolate bar or whatever. That your boyfriend is the Ben and Jerry's, two boyfriends. But like
Exactly.
saying that you're refusing to take on shame, but then being proactive to be your healthiest self. And I know when I take the time to work out and do yoga, and like I feel sexy anyway. I walk by a mirror and I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, I want to
Yeah,
do me.
we want to be turning ourselves on.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you can't turn yourself on, how do you think you're going to turn on anyone else? Like it's about you feeling into that sensuality and inner power and your own self expression through your body, whatever that looks like. It doesn't even
Hmm.
have to be sexual, right?
Well, that's that sexual confidence and sexual magnetism that we're talking about. The sex and success is like starting. I turn myself on. I feel sexy when I walk by the mirror. I'm full of this sensual energy, and once you move past the body shame, that just becomes more readily available.
Yeah. And so on that, well, this one kind of goes right into the third step for overcoming body shame, which is to know your body and accept it. We all have different body types. And it took me years. I mean, I actually had, you do vision boards, and I had this vision board many years ago. And I had this beautiful model, actually, Angie Harmon, on my vision board in a bikini, thinking, like, okay, that's my aim. Like, I want to look like that. And my girlfriend, who's just an incredible, you know, clear teacher and master, she's one of my best friends, Ligia Lima in Brazil. And she was over and she came into my bathroom and she was like, "What is this?" And she made me go into my desk, get a black marker, come back in and cross out every image on my vision board that didn't reflect me because
Hmm.
I'm not 6 feet tall and I don't have a long waist. Like I'm 5'6", I have a curvy body, I have a short waist. Like she was like, "Get this off your vision board because I'm trying to like squeeze myself into a totally different literally a model body, which it's unrealistic and it's not me."
Hmm.
So being in my best shape and being fit and lean for me, that's now what my aim is. And
Hmm.
it was a really powerful actually exercise, and she was just ferocious. She was like, "Every time you look at that, you're like flogging yourself because you don't look like that. Like
Right.
you can't be putting that impression in your unconscious mind." So know your body and accept it. Like really get with, this is my body type, and it's
Hmm.
not an excuse. I also used it as an excuse for a long time. Like,
Right.
oh, I'm curvy, whatever. And then when you start to get really fit and you feel really, when you feel good in your body. Again, listen to your body. First step, your body doesn't lie.
Hmm.
So when you feel good. And again, it's like life is malleable, it's mercurial, things are always changing. Again, it's okay. You're up a few pounds, you're down a few pounds. That's okay. We can definitely be forgiving with ourselves. But the point is, know what is your, best and what is
Hmm.
your aim. And that being said, it doesn't mean that you have to be super fit or super lean for your body type. I worked with a therapist once and she said, she was recalling another client that she worked with that said, I like to eat. I like to eat chocolate. I love to cook good food. Like, I'm willing to go this far, and I'm not worried if I'm 15 or 20 pounds overweight. I feel really good in my body,
Hmm.
So it's different for everyone, and what feels really good for you. And so, really accepting that and really, attuning to that.
Right. Well, we're running out of time. What are the next two?
So the fourth one is just off of this, set realistic goals.
Okay.
Goals that are realistic and healthy.
Right.
So again, 30 minutes a day or 40, an hour a
Mm.
day, whatever it is that you feel really good, you know, your exercise, your food that makes you feel good. The fifth one is solve your problems, don't eat them. Because this is a big tendency where we tend to just block out emotional problems that we might be having in relationship or career issues, family issues, and we eat it. We women particularly, excuse me, women particularly have a habit of emotional eating, and if your body is out of balance, again, it's telling you something. So
Hmm.
get in the habit of taking your life on, you know, really being empowered in your life and not just stuffing down. Depression is repression. So a lot of times when we're carrying a little extra weight, it's often extra emotional weight that we're
Hmm.
carrying around. So if you need to seek assistance, therapy, a coach, programs like this, which are so great, you know, your sex goddess program, things that are really going to help you, give you tools to move forward in your life,
Hmm.
and your body will reflect that. So, getting in the habit of taking care of your business, and notice how that shifts your whole
Hmm.
perception of empowerment. Um, but I can't, you know, you can't underestimate the power of exercising and self care. It releases, as you said, those feel good hormones of serotonin and dopamine, and reduces the stress hormones of cortisol and adrenaline. So, definitely get out there, move your body, feel good in your body, practice the mirror work, you know,
Hmm.
seek support, know your body, accept it for who you are, you know, realistic and healthy goals.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that those are so useful. You know, it's five really useful things people can implement right away, and it's so important to overcome the shame that we have around our bodies, and especially when it comes to our sexual being. You know that as like I said, you should feel turned on, and you should feel like you want to have sex with yourself every day, and maybe flirt with yourself in the mirror, whatever it is, but just because that's actually coming from your inner vitality and vibrance. And when shame is blocking that, you see people have all these other issues that come up. But thank you so much, Ashley, for sharing these tips with us today. And I'll be emailing everybody a handout that they can use your five tips and have that as wrap out. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Psalm. Incredible, incredible work. Thanks, everyone. Please reach out. Send me a question on Facebook or on my, you know, website, ashleyturner.org, and I'm happy to be in dialogue with you. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Ashley. So it's back to me, and I'm going to take your questions. I have a question from Quinn, so I'm going to answer this for you, Quinn. You said, "What exercises can you do to be in your body when you have very limited physical ability due to long-term chronic illness?" So I think this falls under the category I was talking about before, where I said I've worked with people, and now if you actually have a chronic long-term illness, there's more of a physical reason, but most of the people I work with and women I work with who have a hard time with sensation, they don't even have a medical reason. It's literally just that they become numb. And this isn't just women, actually. It's also men. I had the man who'd written me and said that he'd go numb. He couldn't feel his penis when he was having intercourse and didn't enjoy blowjobs or handjobs. Like I said, got to be the only man on the planet. But that really, it's the same thing of learning to relax, breathe, and resensitize your body. So even if you've had a long-term chronic illness, you're going to still tap into that ujjayi breathing. So the sexy Darth Vader that I teach. And so I want you to, everybody at home on the webinar, just take your two fingers and put them here on your collarbone. And then I want you to take a deep inhale and exhale, breathing only through your nose. So you take a deep exhale, deep inhale, deep exhale, and one more time. Deep inhale, listening to that sound of the breath along the back of your throat, just through your nose. Inhale deeply, and exhale slow So that breath is what's going to allow you to start to have more sensation. And a lot of people don't understand how can that make things so different. But if you have practiced yoga or meditation before, you say, what is the difference between stretching and doing yoga? Everything. It's a massive difference what people experience between regular stretching and doing yoga. Or I always say, like, meditation, right? What's the difference between someone sitting in a chair and taking a nap and meditation? The difference is the breath and the intention. So by changing the way that you're breathing and breathing deeply with intention, you can start to experience feeling more sensation, whether it's a medical issue, or if it's just that you're kind of numb in certain areas of your body, and that's more psychological. And I think what you'd find, Quinn, is when you do this breathing and then start to do what I call the feather-light touch or caressing. So you're going to do that breathing. That's the most important first part, because it will increase again what happens when you do this breath, that sexy Darth Vader, is it starts to increase the serotonin and dopamine. So you already come into a state of feeling more pleasure and being more receptive. And then you're also narrowing down your attention, so you aren't as distracted by other thoughts. So doing that breath, I want you to just maybe try and lightly caress your skin. So again, just lightly caressing. And so for me, I always get, like, even just from that, I start to feel a lot of tingling of that serotonin and that dopamine. So again, give that very soft touch and do that deep breathing. And if you don't feel anything at first, don't get discouraged. Just kind of keep trying to play that edge of arousal and sensation and noticing what you do feel. So if you're having a hard time feeling, instead of going then into a negative thought pattern like, oh, I'm not feeling anything, something's wrong with me, this will never change, I want you to come into thinking, what do I feel? Anything that you can feel, then increase that. So if you just feel oh, maybe your elbow is more erogenous, or the nape of your neck, or your collarbone. Just find wherever you have the most kind of sensation, and then increase the volume in that one area instead of focusing on what isn't working. Always bring your awareness to what is working, and then through the breathing, bring your intention and focused sensation and awareness to what is working, and you'll start to see it's as if parts of you are numb, it's like thawing out. So you begin to have more and more sensation. So that's what I recommend if you're having a hard time to be in your body, whether that is an actual physical condition or just that you have a lot of numbness. And what does numbness come from? So when we talk about being able to turn up our sexual energy as the rocket fuel for our life, and to be able to give direction to our sexual energy so we can be successful, and I mean successful in your relationship, successful in your career, successful in anything you're setting your intention to do. That's your own definition of success, not someone else's, right? But so that you can use the sexual energy for your success, especially starting a new year in 2015, you want to be able to build up this arousal of that sexual energy. And one of the main blockages, again, is shame. And Ashley was talking about body shame. But there's also the shame that comes from, our mentality, whether we were taught that sex is something we should be ashamed about or not talk about. And especially for women. I was also having a conversation this week with an amazing woman, Barbara Stanny, who works with women around money and power, and how women have been taught not to talk about money, and that because of that, it's really a way of keeping women's power down. And we were saying how similar that is. I said, with sex, same thing. How do you keep women down is by cutting them off from their biggest power resource, which is their sexual feminine energy. And this is called Shakti. And when I first went to India and learned about this energy and the name of this energy, it was a huge liberation for me, because I felt like finally I could be complete. I could let go of a lot of the disconnection that came from the shame of my religious background, of like feeling ashamed about my sexual energy and my sexual power as a woman. And so it's really important to me to help other women break free of that kind of repression, and men too. Like I said, it isn't just women. I mostly speak to women, but if you're a man here in this webinar, these tips are for you too. But we really have to learn how to confront those ingrained patterns of shame or numbing, and then how to break free of them. And the beginning part is really just being willing to look at yourself, and then to learn to love and accept yourself, and to step into owning your sexual power as a woman, and see how every other part of your life is going to completely shift because of that. And that I have such a passion for this, and I've been on a mission, and this year in 2015 even more of a mission, to help women really to tap into their sexual power and pleasure. I say, if you're one of the millions of women who have a hard time having an orgasm, this practice is for you. Or if you're already having great sex and you want to give that energy more direction or take it to the next level, then this is for you too. So based on all of this feedback that I've been getting, I put together my 21-day Sex Goddess School, which I'm going to be launching this Friday. And I pulled together all these different practices of doing that feather-light touch, of doing the breathing, but doing them along with videos at home. So, I think up until now, a lot of people are buying books. You're buying books about sensuality or books about your sexuality. But I say there's nothing that sexy about opening up the book and reading it. The videos that I've made are a sensual experience on their own. So you're watching the video at home, and I'm working with a woman who'd had an issue she'd never been able to have an orgasm with her partner. And working with her together, we filmed in the video her having a breakthrough. And to me, that's so important and so significant, because if she's not able to let go and have an orgasm with her partner, to me, that's not just about sex. That's going to reflect in every area of her life. And so, that we don't have life over here and sex life over here. So it was really beautiful to me to see that could be captured on camera, because I'd always doubted that before. And the work I've done with women for over 8 years, I never wanted it filmed. And finally, last year, someone approached me, and I thought, you know what, maybe this can actually be filmed in a way that we can give this energy and actually like transmission of this to people watching it. And what we filmed, to me, was just exquisite. It's sexy, it's beautiful, it's real. And so those are the videos that I have in the Sex Goddess online school. So every day in that program, you watch the video, do the practice, and practice along with the video, and then come back and leave comments on the chat boards in this supportive community of women. And I also go on the chat boards and answer your questions. And it's just a really exciting way to go through that process and to have these breakthroughs together, and how important it is for women, I think, to support each other in this process of waking up to our full sexual power. And once we can take control of that, we can take control of our whole lives, and starting to to bring our goals to fruition in our lives, and see having all these breakthroughs. Like I said, it is not just sex, it is your whole life. And being a sex goddess is just sort of about being in your full feminine power in every way. So let's see, I have another question from Edna, and so that I understand the importance of the practice, which with your guidance, I've been finessing into a more potent practice just beyond asana or yoga practice. I currently am uncomfortable with my partner because he seems to be very aroused by me, and yet my weight gain and muscle loss over the last 6 months. So I feel awkward and almost resentful towards him because he doesn't care about my extra pounds the way I do. So I am not aroused to myself that he still finds me that way. So, again, this is an interesting idea. Don't I think we always want people to find us attractive, right? That's just part of being human is we want to be attractive to other people. And so if you have your boyfriend and he is sexually aroused by you, but you don't feel aroused because you feel overweight, but that weight doesn't bother him. I think again you want to think of the intimacy and connection you're missing out on because you're not loving yourself right now, right? So in finding this criticism and not being happy with your weight gain, it's your thought patterns, I'm overweight, I don't look good, are keeping you from being able to connect to your partner who is finding you beautiful, attractive, and wanting to love you. So I would say, in that way, can you put down your self-criticism, go and start to connect with your partner. And again, when you do, you're probably going to bump up against the difficult parts, which you're going to start trying to connect with your partner, and then you'll feel where the negative thought patterns come in. And when you notice that negative thought pattern coming in, you can even just start to give it logic. It says, I'm not attractive, or why does he find me attractive? And you say, well, he does find me attractive. And what does it feel like to receive him finding me attractive? And I think, and if you feel into that, it'll feel a lot better. But I think we all struggle with intimacy and the ability to truly be vulnerable to other people. And a lot of times it's an internal head game that person may want to be meeting us or loving us, but all we can hear is I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy for this reason or that reason, even to the extent that you're frustrated or annoyed with him for finding you attractive. Right? That should be the other way around. I think you should be frustrated and annoyed with him for not finding you attractive. So at night, I give you homework, and your homework is to really let yourself be present and to drop in with your boyfriend and to really learn to put aside the negative, judgmental self-talk where you aren't loving yourself and you aren't feeling worthy of his attention, his arousal. And when you start to be intimate with him and you notice those thoughts coming up and you shutting down physically and getting more in your head, I want you to really try and just take those deep breaths and just try and feel into your body. Or the other thing that I say to people, another way you can work with this is when you start thinking about your body, instead of your mind going, my body, I'm overweight, pay attention to his body. So give your mind a job to do. Instead of thinking the negative thoughts, have it start to be, oh, what does his body feel like? What does his body look like? And really tune into that connection and intimacy. And hopefully you guys have amazing connection, intimacy, and sex after that, and that this is an opportunity for you to receive into that intimacy. So, and now you again, the reason why I created the 21-day Sex Goddess School is so that we could go on that process together, right? So I talk to a lot of people who come to me and they have an issue that they want to work on, but when I give them a piece of advice or a piece of homework, and when they go home and they hit their frustrations, then a lot of times they just stop because that frustration is too difficult, or it brings up something too painful, or they feel they'll never change. And sometimes it takes a little longer to change than you thought, but you have to realize, how long have you been doing it this way? So it may take a little while to change that. And Edna just said, thank you for your words and homework. Yes, I do hope that that's helpful. And Edna, I hope that you can do the Sex Goddess School, because these kinds of interactions are what totally turn me on, is hearing your real stories. Again, it isn't like, when I'm alone, I'm writing articles, how to have an orgasm, right? But talking to real people about their whole life is what feeds me and is so exciting. It's like to hear about you and your boyfriend and how you feel. And then if you're in the 21-day program and you take your homework and you do it and you come back the next day and you write about it on the chat board, and then I can answer your questions, and other women who can either support you, or maybe by you putting something on the chat board that you're revealing yourself, there might be another woman there who isn't brave enough to put something up, and she'll read what you wrote and she'll have a breakthrough. And that's the power of doing these group programs together, is that we can break through so many of our own inhibitions by seeing other people. And it's also, and to stay committed over that period of time. So you don't do it one day and get busy and then it falls by the wayside. Like, how many times have you started a new intention or program and life came up and got too busy and you weren't able to keep up with it? So Edna, maybe you can join us on the 21 days, and everybody else who's here in the webinar, just to explain that a little bit more. It's 21 days, and so that's 3 weeks. And I've broken up my curriculum into a 3-week journey that we'll take together, just women this time. And the week 1 is focused around your heart, love, bonding, and connection. And so the main practice that we do in week 1 is the orgasmic breast massage. And that's really learning how to resensitize your body to do that sexy Darth Vader breathing, feather-like touch over your whole body, but specifically around your breasts, and really activating that oxytocin. So oxytocin is what's released around the breast, and it is the love happy hormone that's responsible for the feelings of love and bonding. So it's very powerful to do that practice on your own. So the first week, we're going to have that practice every day, and every day I'll send you an email and pose you a question so that you can do some personal, like, journaling around what you experience in your practice. And we'll also be doing the orgasmic yoga every day, which is 15 minutes. That gives you more energy, more arousal, more vitality. And I'll have that first phone call with you to really take your questions and set our intentions in week 1. And week 2, the curriculum is based around what used to be called the Yoni Puja when I was in India, but is the genital massage. So it's learning G-spot and clitoral orgasms and how to make that energy spread through your whole body to become full body orgasms and multiple orgasms. And so the week 2 is centered around, again, the clitoris, G-spot, arousal, and learning how to spread that through the whole body. And then the week 3 curriculum, you get shipped to you the orgasmic pleasure wand. So I send you a little kit with aromatherapy lube and the pleasure wand. And in week 3, we're doing a practice called milking. And the milking is really learning how to isolate the muscles of the vaginal wall. And it's called milking because it's like learning how to use them as if it was your hand. And that will help you to have vaginal or internal orgasms, as well as just give you a lot more energy. I've been working with a woman recently who came to me because she was dating a guy who said when she thought she was gripping her vaginal muscles when they were having sex, he couldn't feel anything. And so she wanted to learn the milking, and we started working together. And again, in the first week, I sent her home with her homework, and she was frustrated and sent me a few emails, I don't feel anything yet, and all that stuff was coming, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? But I was really proud of her because she didn't give up. And when she came back, she was just starting to get a tiny bit of sensation, even though she didn't have a lot of control yet. But she said it was sort of, it would involuntarily almost have a spasm of those muscles. And so I told her to imagine when you see a child learning how to grab something, right? You see a baby and first they only know they want to grab something and they don't have the motor skill to move their hands. And then maybe they learn how to reach the hand out and try and grasp, but the fingers don't hold. And then over time they get better and better at that until we have, that dexterity and don't think about it anymore as an adult. We don't think about how frustrating the process is for a baby to learn to reach, to grab, to hold, to move. And that's literally in that milking practice, learning to control the deeper muscles of the pelvic floor, the vaginal wall. These are much deeper than Kegels. And by doing that, not only do you be able to have those internal vaginal orgasms, you'll also be able to just feel a lot more energy, and you'll have a lot more control with partners. That obviously brings your partners a lot of pleasure when you can use those muscles for more like of a massage. But so that's week 3 of the curriculum. So it's, again, a 3-week journey, and I've got some amazing women who are already in it. Awesome women leaders who are taking part in this. So it's going to be something that I think not only is it your personal experience, it's also about all the women who are taking part in it and us doing this together, building up this energy together, and the people that you'll interact with and share with. It's going to be really amazing. And so that program starts this Friday, and I'm going to send you a special offer because you were in the webinar of, I think it's even up on your screen now. It's $350 instead of $400. So that's $350 for those 3 weeks of curriculum plus me sending you the Orgasm Wand kit. So it's a lot of value for that. And the first 10 women who sign up will also get a free 20-minute consult with me. So you get the special webinar price of $350, plus if you're one of the first 10, you get a 20-minute Skype consult with me. Sorry, so we'll actually, I'll be able to support your practice and take your questions in particular. So I hope that you found this webinar helpful. And actually, I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to run over a little bit. I have one more question that I'd like to take. She says, Sam, what is an easy way to motivate myself to have sex? I enjoy it when I'm having it, but it's hard to get stimulated. So again, this comes into the question of arousal. And I put together the program of the Orgasmic Yoga 15-minute-a-day practice specifically for this because it makes it fun. It's a 15-minute video. There's music, and it's really learning to let go into that sensuality, but you'll start to build up arousal. There's so many reasons it works. There's how you're breathing, there's how you're moving. We do like hip circles in the orgasmic yoga, and as you turn your hips, you squeeze, again, that sort of milking of the pelvic floor, and you'll start to feel more of that arousal building up. And if you do that every day for 15 minutes, you'll just naturally start to feel more and more arousal. And again, through that 21-day program, you'll start to build up and play with your arousal. So for women who are having a hard time feeling aroused, the first 7 days, I tell you to be celibate, but to be doing the breast massage, to be doing the orgasmic yoga, so that you're actually building up all this juiciness and desire. And it's very powerful what happens. I have a lot of women, and if they're always thinking, oh, why aren't I aroused? Why can't I have an orgasm? I says, stop thinking all of that. Actually, you're not allowed to have an orgasm. You're not allowed to have sex, but you're doing the breathing, you're doing all this massage, and believe me, you will start to really feel what that arousal is as it builds up in your body and that desire for that sexual energy. I had a woman I worked with, and she was like, what do I do when I go to the supermarket now? Men are following me around. Just because she's like, I've been holding in that sexual energy. I had her do the celibacy practice for 7 days, and do the breast massage and do the orgasmic yoga. And I was like, just start to learn to play with that energy. And I think sometimes as women, we've shut down our arousal and our sexual magnetism because we're afraid of what will happen. You know, if I'm walking in the supermarket and all these men are following me, it's going to be my fault if something bad happens to me, if I'm sexually assaulted, or if somebody approaches me and I don't know how to talk to them or use my voice and say, what if somebody asks for my number and I'm uncomfortable saying no, thank you. So I think we've, as women, really again learned to shut down and numb the sexual magnetism and power and arousal. Because we were shamed, or because we don't know how to use our voice to draw boundaries, but to really be in that power and learn to play with it in your life. And again, to bring the things that you want into your life and not bring in the things you don't want. That's really learning that mastery. And that's what this is about. So that 21-day Sex Goddess School is about finding your sexual mastery, both in the bedroom and in the rest of your life, walking through the aisle at the supermarket. And it's for everybody, women in relationships, women who are single, it's for moms, for everybody, because every woman has this energy, and of all ages. I have girls who are 22, and then I have a student who's 70. And so whatever age you are, you still have this amazing, juicy energy that you want to learn how to turn up that arousal, turn up your feminine, Shakti sexual power, and then give it the direction so you can have that sex and success in your life. So I hope that that this was a great webinar and that you got a lot out of it. And I hope that you will go on the 21-day Sex Goddess School with me to learn to master your sexual energy. I really look forward to spending that time with a group of committed women. I've seen before the breakthroughs that we have. And so for me to start 2015 in this way with you is well, it's why I do what I do. So I hope you'll be one of the people who joins the 21-day Sex Goddess School. Barbara Stanny, the woman I was saying who teaches about money, she's going to be part of it. So a lot of my mentors and my girl crushes are actually going to be in this program. Terry Cole is going to be doing the program. So I hope that you'll just join in this with us as a collective of women moving ourselves through the world with our power and our sexuality. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll send you this link to watch the webinar tomorrow, and you can again watch it as many times you want. And I'm sending you the special offer right after when we finish. So take care and have a wonderful, fully orgasmic day.